for a winery. And essentially, it was basically what we were talking about before. The consultants they brought in and their own internal analytics had come up with these returns on promotion that were just insane. 2, 3, literally 400% return on promotion. And those are huge numbers. And what they told me was look, everybody knows these are wrong, but nobody's come up with a method to figure out how to fix it. And they asked me to take a look at the data, and I did, and I came up with this method, which is brand new. It didn't exist before, and this ended up as a paper in. My God, I can't read that. It's too blurry. But I don't know what year it is. Let me see if I can read it here. I can't read it there either. Do you want to read the year on that? It might be, I don't know what it is. It's too blurry. Let's see. No, never mind. So I came up with this process, and it was, what I did was I borrowed a methodology from a different field and applied it to this, and it
2011.
It's 2011? Yeah. Okay, so Mike's getting old then. Strange, I haven't gotten any older, but I'm sure he has. So, all right, so this is the paper. It's basically how to analyze the effects of promotion, and we kind of got to it towards this last project. So, kind of starting from the basics. The way most people run promotion or analyze promotion is they look at promotion as doing something like this. The effects of promotion are to shift out the demand, right? You promote something because you want to sell more of it. So in essence, kind of theoretically, and this is why we take economics, theoretically we just want to shift out that demand curve and sell more stuff. And that would be relatively easy. It would be relatively easy to measure the effect of promotion if we lived in a static world. If everything was constant, everything was the same, we would be able to say, okay, at a specific price, we'd be able to measure the effects of promotion as just the horizontal distance between them. So we had a price, we sold Q0 units without promotion, we promoted this product, however, and we got certain measures of promotion in the data. And remember, these are standard Nielsen metrics. So we have feature, display, feature and display, and temporary price reductions. So we have these measures of promotion in the data. And if everything was static, this would be our promotional lift, and we'd be done. And this is essentially how everyone measures promotion. The problem is, now let's see what the problem is. Yeah, it'd be easy. And we would do, let's see, what is this? How would we measure promotion? So we've run enough regressions in this class. What is promotion? What kind of variable is promotion? Is it a quantitative variable? It's a dummy, right? Yes, I'm on promotion. No, I'm not on promotion. And when we introduced dummies, how did I tell you to think about dummies? What do dummies do? Exactly, they're shifters. So they're shifters, and that's exactly what's going on with this demand curve. It's shifting the demand curve, accounting for that promotion. And this regression, if they actually run regression, which they don't, this regression is how I could almost say 100%, 99% of the people that measure promotion, if they're using a regression-based system, are going to measure it this way. Because remember, when we run this regression, to see, beta 1 is going to tell us how much sales increase when we're on promotion. And we can test whether or not that's statistically significant if the t-stat's greater than 2 or whatever. So this is a pretty basic measure. And it's pretty easy. This is about as easy as it gets. But anyone in the industry knows, there we go, there's our dummy. And our beta 1 coefficient tells us how much more we sell on promotion relative to off promotion. It gives us the size of that shifter. And that's our measure of promotional lift. All right. The problem is that whenever we promote, we almost always change price. Right? And that makes sense. We don't just have a promotion, we have a promotion along with a price reduction. And that's the problem. And when I first attack this problem, I'm attacking it literally on a piece of paper, drawing these curves. How are we measuring promotion? What should be happening? And what we see is that you get these huge increases in sales, which are all attributed to promotion. And they shouldn't be attributed to promotion, because two things are happening here. One is, yes, it's on promotion, but two is, what? We lowered price. And how do we distinguish between the two? Well, the answer is you don't, or they don't. And this is why you're getting these huge measures of promotional lift. And I've literally seen other companies that provide analytics, and these are the big companies, the McKinseys, the Bains, the Nielsen does its own, has its own consulting arm, and they all measure promotion the same. They use that simple regression, and they get these huge promotional lifts. And by the way, this looks good from, if you're in marketing, this is a good thing, right? Because it looks like your marketing efforts are having a bigger rate of return than they actually do. So essentially what I said is, look, not all of that is due to promotion. What we should do is try to isolate the effect of price from promotion, or promotion from price, whatever. And visually, and what I did was I stole this from a paper, it was actually a PhD dissertation at Princeton University. This guy, Ron Oaxaca, teaches at the University of Arizona.
Yeah.
Go Wildcats?
Yeah.
Go Wildcats. Teaches at the University of Arizona, and he got his PhD at Princeton University, and he used this method for analyzing male-female wage differentials. And that's the name of his paper is, I think, male and female wage differentials in something or another. I forgot the name of the paper. It's in the references. And basically what he did was the issue he was trying to figure out is, look, men and women obviously make different, or men and women clearly have different wages. Now, some of that could be due to discrimination, but some of it's due to the fact that women may acquire less skills, right? They may have less schooling. They may have less experience because they're in and out of the labor force, right? And you can't call that discrimination. You can't say, well, if a woman chooses not to get a degree or chooses to get a degree in something else, right? You can't measure 2 degrees as the same. You get a degree in let's be sexist. Men get a degree in engineering, women get a degree in Victorian poetry, right? You can't expect those two. They both have degrees, so on paper they might look the same, but those are two really different skill sets, and they're going to be paid. They probably should be paid differently, and that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to say, look, let's not call that discrimination. Let's control for the things that we can control for. The fact that maybe men and women have different skill sets, and that's going to account for some of the wage differentials. And by the when I went through graduate school, that was the field I was concentrating on was labor market economics. So I'm formally a labor economist. So that paper came up, and I said, okay, can we use that same methodology to distinguish the effects of price from promotion? And kind of drawing the picture, we can say, okay, look, quite simply, if we lower price, we were going to sell more anyways, right? And how much more were we going to sell? Well, we were going to sell this much more. Let's go back here. So that increase in sales is due to the fact that we just lowered price. We shouldn't attribute that to promotion. The rest of it is due to promotion, because now we've controlled for price, right? So instead of saying this is my promotional lift, we're going to say this is the promotional lift, and that's it. This is what Oaxaca did for male-female wage differentials. And I drew it out, and it was one of those things where you just thought this was going to be this really long process, and pencil and paper, you draw it out, and it made perfect sense. It just clicked. And again, look at the answer. The answer comes from simple supply and demand curves, or in this case, just demand curves, and saying, can we isolate those effects? Now the problem is that we don't always have. If price and promotion always go hand in hand, whenever there's promotion, there's going to be a price reduction. So we don't always have, for example, this point. But what we can do is use our regression-based techniques and say, look, if we have this point and other points, we can get that whole equation for that straight line. And then if we have this point and then other points, we can get that whole equation. So what we do is we estimate those two demand curves. And once we estimate those two demand curves, we can now do that decomposition. So it really has to be a regression-based system. And there's only one way to do these things. Okay, so how do we do this? This is where it gets kind of messy. You estimate a demand curve for promoted sales. And beta 1 is the coefficient on price. The x is, let's just call that other things. Other things that are going to affect demand. For example, month. So we're going to be able to throw months in here and be able to see, just like we did before, in what months promotion has the biggest effect. We can also throw region in there and see, in some regions may respond differently to promotions than other regions. But whatever, we're going to stick to pretty simple stuff like months. We're going to estimate a demand for non-promoted sales. In other words, we want those two demand curves. We want those two demand curves so we can do the decomposition. And if we can get those two demand curves, again, kind of think back to this picture. We're going to estimate this demand curve, estimate that demand curve, then we can do the decomposition.
And was the second equation,
Yeah, so let's go back.
was that for the non-promotion?
Yeah, so N for non, P for promoted. So we're just literally trying to get the equation for those two lines. And then we're going to essentially do the math. Now, kind of the math graphically and the math kind of on paper, and this is the trick that Ron Oaxaca did. So normally we measure the total effect of promotion, the total lift, as just the difference between those two curves. But remember that difference was partly due to price reductions, partly due to promotion. And we want to isolate that promotional effect. And again, I literally stole this from Oaxaca. I credited him, so, but I stole it. And the difference between those two equations is that horizontal difference in the demand curves. So that's the lift. Then he did this little trick. He said add and subtract the effect of the promoted price on the non-promoted demand curve. And that's at beta n. So the beta n is the effect of price on the non-promoted demand curve. And price P is the promoted price. And what we're doing, I should clean up this PowerPoint a bit. What we're doing is this. We're getting this hypothetical point. So we want that point. Remember that this point doesn't exist. We can't see any of this. We have to estimate these demand curves and we have to say, okay, what would the increase in sales be at the promoted price? So this was P, super P, the promoted price, but along the non-promoted demand curve. So what we're trying to get is this point right here. Does that make sense? It kind of makes sense on the graph. The math stuff, math always screws everything up. And that's what that, that's what that little trick is here. This is a hypothetical point that doesn't actually exist. It's promoted price along the non-promoted demand curve. It's that hypothetical point that we want. And again, Walker does this in terms of wages. And he basically adds and subtracts that to both of our equations. So he adds it to this one, subtracts it from that one. And if you add and subtract something from, well, if you add and subtract the exact same thing, what have you done?
Nothing.
You've done nothing, exactly. They're going to cancel out anyways. But what we're going to be able to do is kind of manipulate the equations so that we can isolate those effects. So you can see here, promoted price along the non-promoted demand, and you can see here promoted price along the non-promoted demand. So we've added and subtracted it from each equation. So in essence, we've done nothing. But that's the key. That nothing step is the key to the decomposition. Then we do some math, and basically we just collect terms. Collect the two intercepts. This is the effect of the price differences. This is the effect of the differences in the promotional effects. So in the end, all these terms end up being the promotional effect, and these terms end up being the price effect. And you can see that if firms didn't always reduce price when they promoted, then the promoted price and the non-promoted price would be the same. And if these are the same, this would go to 0. And then we just have this point. And if that was the case, then we'd be back to that simple dummy variable case, where we can just throw in a dummy, and the value of that dummy would be our shifter, our promotional lift. But that's not the case. Because we have price and promotion occurring simultaneously, we have to, in essence, decompose the effects. So again, difference in the intercepts. This is the difference in, so this is the difference in the slopes, and this is the difference in the effective price between the two curves.
How did you find that, like that hypothetical price after the promotion?
One more time?
The B price P, the beta price P.
Oh, how did I find that?
Yeah.
Essentially, I wanted that. I want this point here. So what this point is literally, it's going to be promoted price, which is the P super N, P super P, along the non-promoted demand, which is our beta, is our coefficient on our demand curve. So we're going to evaluate the promoted price along the non-promoted demand curve, and that's where that comes from. Let's get back to here.
So wait, which
Yeah.
one is the slope the beta p xp minus beta n xn, or is it the total beta 0p minus beta 0n plus beta p xp?
So these are, ignore these for a minute because these are those other factors like
Okay.
months and all that stuff. So it really boils down to just these two things. The difference in the intercepts,
Okay.
which is the difference, the vertical distance between the two lines. And then this is the difference, this is the promoted price evaluated along the difference between the two promoted and non-promoted demand curves.
And those 0 represents
the 0,
versus the 1?
oh, over here?
Yeah,
Yeah, these are just the intercepts.
okay.
So this will be, instated, this is the constant, right?
Yeah.
And then the other constant. And then beta 1's the coefficient on price. All right, so once we get to, now you know why we broke this up into two assignments. All right, what I did was kind of just summarize the data, and you can see that non-promoted price is always higher than promoted price. And then the different promotions have different prices associated with them too. And because price is lower, you're always going to get more sales. And that's the problem. The problem is, well, part of that's due to the lower price, part of it's due to promotion. All right, so here's the, again, very simple regressions. One for the promoted sales, one for non-promoted sales. And then here is those equation thingies, right? This is the difference in sales due to price. And again, if they never lowered, if they didn't lower price when they promoted, this would be 0, and then everything would be due to promotion. The problem is they always do lower price. So in this case, what do we get? We get, well, look what's going on here. The total lift is going to be 53%. So if we were just measuring this in terms of that simple dummy variable, if we're trying to see, okay, how much did sales increase when we were on promotion? Our promotional lift would be 53%, which is pretty good. I've gotten a lot higher than that, but these are the numbers used in the paper. So again, imagine going to marketing and saying, you know, the promotional lift is 53%. That's pretty good. The problem is 45% of that 53% was due to the fact that you lowered price. The true promotional lift is only 8%. There's a big difference between 53% lift and an 8% lift.
So that was the promotional price was 8%?
The effect due to promotion is 8%. That other percentage is telling us that, look, 84% of this promotional lift, 84% of this 53%, so 80% of that lift is due to price. Only 15% of that lift is due to promotion. At the firm level, all you care about is what's my lift. Don't tell me any of this wacky this and that. Your promotional lift is 8%. And that's definitely different than 53%. So this was the first kind of breakthrough I made in being able to analyze the effects of price, the effects of promotion, getting a true measure of promotion. All right. Then I thought about heterogeneity. Heterogeneity just means, are some situations different than the other? When we draw our demand curves, we usually draw them like this. And this is how the effects of promotion are usually shown in even economics textbooks, or even some marketing textbooks, if marketing textbooks actually use demand curves. They'll show them as two parallel demand curves, with the assumption being that, you know, promotion just shifts them out in a parallel fashion. The assumption being that these consumers, the people that buy off promotion, are similar to the people that buy on promotion. And that's really what you have to think about. You know, when we think about, you know, regressions and dummy variables and all those things, we kind of get lost sometimes. You know, we lose the forest from the trees. We get lost in the technicalities. But really what we're saying here, what this picture is saying is that people that buy on promotion are exactly the same as people that buy off promotion. People that buy on promotion are exactly the same as people that buy off promotion. But this just doesn't make, to me, that didn't make any sense. So I did kind of a lit review, which we have to do when you write these papers. And that was kind of a big topic. I think in the business literature where all this is, they came up with the conclusion that, yeah, they probably are. And I thought, well, I didn't like it. It just didn't make any sense. And you've got to know people that will only buy something if what? If it's on sale. Exactly. That's not what this picture is saying. This picture is saying these people are the same as these people. So just from personal experience, and we shouldn't do things because of anecdotes, then we sound like the business school. No offense. We should do things based on kind of on the data. So yeah, that doesn't make any sense. We're making a pretty big assumption here. And that assumption has a lot of ramifications, as we'll see in a second. And I thought, well, you know, so, and I would think of things like Black Friday, right? When you see, and I think about the time that I wrote this, was that the one incident, and this happens every year, I shouldn't say the one incident, but in this 1 year, people were trampled, literally killed, trampled, trying to get like a $20 DVD at Walmart, right? They open the doors and people are running in there and they're trying to get in, there's fights. And this happens every year, we see this every year. And those are people that do what? That are buying on promotion. Those people are different than people that buy 363 the other days of the year. So I'm thinking, you know, this doesn't make any sense. This picture to me didn't make any sense. It's a start, but we should allow for consumers to be heterogeneous. In other words, people that buy on promotion are different than people that buy off promotion. And I made two arguments. One is that promotion may cause people to behave differently. So I see a VCR, I see a DVD on sale for 20 bucks and I go nuts, right? I start trampling people. That could be, and I don't know. Do promotions make us behave differently? I don't know.
Yes.
Or it could be that promotion induces a different set of consumers into the market. And I don't know which one it is, and I really don't care, but I can say this, that if either one of those is true, then those demand curves are not going to be parallel, they're going to be perpendicular, they're going to have different slopes to them. And essentially, these people here have a flatter demand curve, which means they're more price sensitive, right? I see a DVD for 20 bucks, boom, I'm there. Full speed, I got my pepper spray. Did you guys see that one this last Black Friday, the pepper spray in the eyes? And this, like I said, this happens every year. So having those parallel curves just didn't make sense in terms of anecdotal evidence. When we see these Black Friday incidents happening over and over and over, and yet we're assuming that those two lines are parallel. And again, the parallelness means that those two sets of consumers are the same. And it just didn't make any sense to me. So I said, look, what promotions are going to do is induce people into the market that are more price sensitive. So these people are probably more price sensitive than these people. I'm the opposite, by the way. I will refuse to use a coupon. If we see coupons nowadays, they're literally, you don't have to clip coupons like the old days. They're literally there on the shelves, right? You can just pull one out. And I'll move it out of the way, grab the box, and then I'll just refuse to do it. So, and that's different than other people who will only buy if there's a coupon of some sort, if there's a promotion or price reduction of some sort. So what does this mean in terms of measuring the effects of promotion? What it means is that promotion is going to have different effect at different prices. So if we analyze, this goes back to reference pricing. And reference pricing has to do with whether or not we know something's a good deal. is this a good deal? What's my reference price? When I think of this product, what's the price, what's like an average price that I have in my head? And if price is below that, I know it's a good deal. If price is above that, it's a bad deal. Yeah, there we go there. So let's say that we get a relatively high price. And if that's true, then we can see that the effective promotion is going to be relatively small. So at high prices, the promotional lift tends to be relatively small. At low prices, the promotional lift tends to be relatively high, because we've induced all of those sensitive consumers, price-sensitive consumers, into the market. What this means is that because there's heterogeneity amongst consumers, and because promotion is going to have different effect at different prices, then what you can do, and we're not going to necessarily do this, but what you can do, and what I do in the paper, is there's some optimal price promotion combination. What price is going to maximize by promotional efforts? And if those two lines are parallel, then it doesn't really matter, because promotional lifts is the same no matter where you're at. But if they're not parallel, if you have heterogeneity amongst consumers, then there's going to be some sweet spot. There's going to be some price at which you're going to get the biggest promotional lift. And again, we can kind of see how you're going to get different lifts at different prices. And we should try to find that price that maximizes our promotion. Because remember, we have to pay for promotion. So we want to get as big a lift as possible. And this is optimization. Optimizing our marketing mix. Two of the levers in marketing are price and promotion. They're not independent. What this shows is they're not independent. They work together, and we can optimize them. That's called marketing mix modeling. This is what firms pay a lot for. All right. So for the decomposition, again at a relatively high price, and then there's the promoted price. And we can see that, so we're still going to get there's still going to be kind of a muddled effect of price and promotion, but we can still decompose that effect. Price effect, the promotion effect. All right. And then at a low price, there's our non